Why Alexandre Pantoja is the most disrespected UFC champion. They say the world starts watching. The sponsors come running, the headlines explode with your name. But someone forgot to send that memo to Alexandre Pantoja. Because even after reaching the very top of the flyweight mountain, he's still being treated like the division's best-kept secret. It's one of the strangest stories in modern MMA. How a soft-spoken, dangerous killer can be holding the belt yet still feel invisible. And if you look closely, you'll see that this story runs far deeper than just being underappreciated. It's about a champion who had to fight not only his opponents, but an entire system that refused to see him. Alexandre Pantoja was never the chosen one. Born and raised in Brazil, he didn't come from a place of privilege or big sponsorships. His childhood wasn't lined with money or opportunity. It was lined with struggle, sacrifice, and a constant battle to make something of himself. From an early age, fell in love with jiu-jitsu, drawn in by its chess-like flow and the way it rewarded grit over flash. That black belt on his waist wasn't given to him. He earned it the hard way, bleeding on mats across countless gyms, sharpening every part of his game against anyone who dared stand in front of him. By the time Pantoja tried his luck on The Ultimate Fighter, he'd already built a reputation in Brazil as a monster in the flyweight scene. But Tough was a different beast, a shark tank filled with hungry prospects desperate for UFC contracts. Pantoja didn't just survive there, he thrived, showing that he could handle every style, every personality, every level of chaos. Yet even then, he wasn't handed a golden ticket. There was no hype machine waiting to polish him up and sell him to the world. Instead, he had to claw for every inch of attention, quietly stacking wins while bigger names stole the spotlight. After TUF, Pantoja faced a lineup of absolute killers. These weren't padded records or safe matchups. These were the guys nobody else wanted to fight. The UFC knew he was a threat, so they tested him at every turn, tossing him in with powerful strikers, submission wizards, and top contenders who had everything to lose. And Pantoja just kept winning. Or if he lost, he bounced back stronger. That resilience, that quiet, unstoppable drive, became his brand, whether fans noticed or not. But the real tragedy, if you can even call it that, is how little respect Pantoja still gets. You'd think a champion with his skill set would be front and center on every promo reel, but somehow he's still in the shadows. Part of that comes from the UFC's own playbook. It's easier to sell a champion who talks trash, waves flags, and starts drama on social media. That's what moves numbers. Pantoja, he's too respectful, too humble, too focused on the fight itself to play the villain. In a sport where marketing is half the game, that can feel like a curse. It's not just the UFC. Even fans have overlooked him. Pantoja has put on absolute barn burners in the cage, delivering highlight finishes and showcasing one of the most well-rounded games in the entire flyweight division. Yet for some reason, the conversations on social media skip past him, reaching instead for flashier fighters with more colorful personalities. It's almost like Pantoja's greatness is hidden in plain sight, visible only to the few who really pay attention. When you break down his skill set, the disrespect makes even less sense. The guy is a human backpack, suffocating world-class opponents with relentless grappling, but also carrying enough striking power to finish a fight on the feet. His transitions are seamless, his pace is brutal, and he doesn't wilt under pressure. He's gone through battle after battle against the best, yet fans still question whether he's marketable enough to be a star. It wasn't like he stumbled into the belt either. Pantoja went through Brandon Moreno, a fan-favorite champion, a fighter who had made his own underdog story resonate with the world. Beating a guy like Moreno twice should have launched Pantoja into a new realm of fame. But somehow, it didn't stick. There were no mainstream interviews, no waves of endorsement deals, no trending hashtags. Instead, he went back to the gym, quietly preparing for the next defense while other champions booked talk shows and podcast circuits. The disrespect shows up in subtle ways. Analysts talk about future matchups as if Pantoja is just a placeholder. Fans online wonder who the real king of flyweight is. People forget how brutally consistent he's been. They question if he can keep up with younger contenders, ignoring the fact that he has already faced, and often beaten, the best of this generation. You'd think that would bother him. But Alexandre Pantoja doesn't let it. In fact, his response to the disrespect is one of the most powerful parts of his story. He simply shows up, week after week, grinding in silence, sharpening his weapons, and getting ready to prove everyone wrong. There's a strange beauty in how he carries himself. No bitterness, no loud complaints, just an iron-willed belief that as long as he wins, the rest will take care of itself. Yet you have to wonder, how much longer can a champion like Pantoja go unnoticed? How long can the UFC push a fighter with world-class skills to the background, simply because he won't play a character? Fans want authenticity, right? Well, Pantoja is as authentic as it gets. A kid from Brazil who refused to be forgotten, who refused to break under the UFC's harshest matchmaking, and who refused to sell out his values just to get a little more camera time. Maybe that's why the hardcore fans respect him so deeply, even if casuals don't. Because they see how the man shows up every single time, delivers violence at the highest level, and does it without the circus. He reminds them of a different era. The era where respect was earned with your fists, not your Twitter posts. Still, being the most disrespected UFC champion isn't an easy cross to bear. Every fight for Pantoja feels like another audition, another reason to justify why he even belongs in the spotlight. Other champs get to celebrate and bask in glory. Pantoja? He has to defend his crown while also defending his reputation, fighting an uphill battle against apathy, doubt, and a promotion that seems unsure how to sell him. Yet through all of that, he's built something stronger than hype. A legacy. Alexandre Pantoja has proven he can thrive against the toughest challenges the UFC can throw at him. He's shown he can adapt, evolve, and grow, turning every doubt into fuel for another dominant performance. And while the spotlight might fade from other fighters the moment they lose, Pantoja's skill and grit will always speak for themselves. The flyweight division is stacked with killers, and the next wave is already on the way. People wonder if Pantoja can survive the next generation. But let's be honest, he's been surviving the next generation since the day he walked into the UFC. Young hotshots come and go, but Pantoja's still here, holding the belt, holding the line, refusing to let anyone take away what he's earned. And if the world still won't give him the respect he deserves, maybe that's their problem. Because anyone paying attention can see the truth. Alexandre Pantoja is a champion in the purest sense, the kind who fights not for the fame, but for the honor of proving he's the best. So the question now is simple. What more does this man have to do? Beat every name on the roster? Clear out a division that's been one of the UFC's most competitive for years? Maybe that's exactly what he plans to do. Because if history tells us anything, Alexandre Pantoja isn't waiting around for approval. He's busy building a legacy. And someday, when the hype fades and the bright lights shift to the next trending fighter, people will look back and realize they slept on a legend. They'll look back and see a champion who carried a division on his shoulders, who never ducked a challenge, who never let the bright lights change him. They'll see Alexandre Pantoja for what he truly is, the most disrespected UFC champion, and maybe one of the greatest to ever hold the belt. But that isn't the end of his story. Because even now, as he sharpens his weapons for the next contender, one thing is crystal clear. Pantoja doesn't care if you believe in him. He'll just keep winning until you have no choice. And that might be the most powerful statement any fighter can make. In a world that wants you loud and flashy, Pantoja's quiet violence might echo the loudest of them all.